Good morning and welcome to the Daily Intimacy. It is Tuesday, March 9th. I invite you to have a breath and gently close your eyes. And let's have a few deep breaths with a nice sound and a squeeze of the belly at the end. In the morning, I feel like we're waking up anew, but we also need to kind of release whatever sort of, toxins and stale air and just to kind of release from the night's sleep. So a little at the bottom of the exhale can really help with that. So a couple of breaths and let it out. Great. Good. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Feeling the belly. Bring your attention to the earth beneath you. And I know most of us are feeling that spring air. So also in the spring energy, spring sunshine. So as you bring your attention to the ground that is melting and rich soil beneath the frozen, we're also attuned to the sun and the rays of the sunshine this morning. And so as you breathe in, I invite you to gather the nourishment from the earth and allow it to come up from the base of your spine and travel, from your toes up to your hips and then up to your heart center. And if you place your hands on your heart, it'll direct the energy for you, or just in your mind's eye, you can do that. And then on the next breath, bring your attention to the sky above, to the heavens, to the universe, to the vastness that we only know a speck about, but we can access. And so as you breathe in this direction from the crown of your head or above the crown of your head, allow that sunshine and those warm rays of sun just bathe you from top to bottom, and at the heart center, mixing with the ground and the energy of the earth. And imagine, because I know you can't really reach, that you have one hand on your heart, that one you actually have, and one hand behind your heart. So right between your shoulder blades. Maybe you ask a spirit guide or an ancestor, or even just somebody who's here on the earth plane. You can just imagine that they have their warm, loving hand on the back of your heart. Maybe there's someone in the room with you. You can ask them to do it for you. But what comes to me this morning is to feel your heart held, to feel my own heart held. And as you breathe now, and you feel that hand at your back and your own hand in the front of your heart, feel the softening that happens when you hold yourself and when we hold our own hearts. Feel a melting inside, as of course we are watching the snow and the ice melt outside of us. And another breath and a deeper softening. And another breath and a deeper softening. And as you do that, just notice what's there for you. Notice how the softening feels. See if there's any feelings that show up or an awareness. Like when I hold my little girl like this, I can feel a range of things. Sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's total joy. This morning, it just feels like a softening into who I am. softening into more of myself. And take a moment now and thank the energy that's holding your heart from the back, whoever and whatever that was for you. And then thank yourself for holding yourself and holding your own heart. And I invite you to give some kisses to your hands in gratitude. And release and come on back to the Zoom room. We're almost at a year with this daily intimacy. Pretty cool. Welcome, everybody. If you've just arrived, I know some of you came in while we were doing the centering. Yeah, nice to see you, Andrea, and Jill and Marcy. Lovely to see you all. Ooh, Karen's outside. That's really nice. So I always encourage you to scroll and sort of look to see who's here, all the beautiful faces and the furry animals that are joining us as well. So sweet. Hi, Laura. Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I had been inviting some of the allies from friends and colleagues and allies, support people, loves from the Jaguar Path. That is the shamanism and yoga training I'm doing this year. And many of you met Ray and Nina when they came to visit the Daily Intimacy. And so this morning we have Sarah Thompson, and Sarah has an incredible story about her own healing journey, which is always so powerful to hear. Whenever anybody has overcome such huge obstacles in their lives, I find it just so inspiring. So I'm really excited to have Sarah, and she's a practitioner, a clinician, a healer, and she's going to be, I don't want to say, I'm going to let you say it, but she's going to be sharing her gifts with us and give us our own experience of tuning into ourselves and having the capacity to, the opportunity to find what we need for ourselves. So I am excited. Thank you, Sarah, for being here. I think you can unmute. Yeah, oops, I muted you by mistake. We did it at the same time. There we go. Welcome, Sarah from Maine.
Thank you. Oh,
yeah.
Morning. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Robyn. That was such a beautiful opening. I'm so happy to see all of you. So many of you are new faces for me, and some of you are not. And that's just, this is great. And wherever you're at this morning, this is a journey of healing. So if you're at a 10, awesome. If you're at a 2, you're held. And I'd like to start this morning just by telling you a little bit about my story, my journey into shamanic homeopathy, and then we're going to do some shamanic homeopathy. And my story really begins with the realization that I was never going to beat cancer, and that I didn't even want to. Because cancer was just my own vital force crying out in the only language that it speaks, trying to show me what it needed for healing in order to be on my true path and in alignment, and communicating to me that I was not on that path. And if I went to war with that, I was going to lose. I was going to die. And so when that happened, I chose to relax into what was coming to me. And that was to find an interpreter for that language of the vital force. I started out trying to be my own interpreter, And it came to me that that was itself part of the problem, and that I needed some help. And my journey took me through some brutal territory. I went through conventional treatment for acute myeloid leukemia. And when I first met the homeopath woman who would become my homeopath, who would become my mentor, who would be the first person that I recognized in my life, was my first shaman in many ways, although she didn't call herself that, and I didn't know that word in that way for many, many years. I was sitting in a hospital bed. I was 33. I weighed 94 pounds, and I was a shadow of myself. I was sick and I was in pain, but I was also just really lost. I had chosen to approach this with as open a heart and a mind as I could, but I was kind of without tools. And when she sat down across from me, she asked me about Sarah. She asked me about Sarah, the woman, Sarah as a mother, Sarah as a daughter, Sarah as a wife, Sarah rooted in the earth, Sarah who's and well and on a journey to her higher self. And I recognized in this woman someone who had the tools and the capacity to speak this language of my vital force. I didn't have those words at that time, but I felt that, and I felt truly and wholly held. And it was through the years of receiving homeopathic treatment. I went through a lot of conventional treatment and bone marrow transplant, and I knew that I had to heal from the treatment itself. But I came to realize that after I healed from the treatment, I had to heal from what that susceptibility was that was presenting itself as cancer, which in the language of homeopathy is a miasm that has to do with being out of alignment and forcing something into being that isn't meant to be that way. And what was amazing to me is that as my body healed, and the Dana-Farber, said, you can just stop coming back and call us when you need us. But things that I had sort of written off as just kind of part of me, levels of dysfunction that I would just live with, also came off. That my sort of a level of anxiety that had limited me in my life, and depression, and a closing in on myself that had started, I now realize, when I was very young, started to open and unfold, even in ways that was a little painful and startling at times. But I found myself in my late 30s and early 40s making new friends and learning new sports and stepping into a self. And that was, through the course of that, I became a practitioner of homeopathy. I went through a full training program in homeopathy, still not knowing that I was studying shamanism. And it wasn't until I came to the Jaguar Path, and Ray Christ, who is my mentor in the Jaguar Path, said, this is shamanic work that you're doing, and here is another set of tools and another way of accessing it, that I came to see that this realm of the shaman, which is the realm of narrative and of metaphor and of analogy, is the place where healing happens, and the place where I belong, and the place where I have something to share, and where everyone and every substance around me I have the opportunity to choose to have healing experience from that. And in homeopathy, we use specific tools that are remedies to access that, but it's truly a deeply shamanic, energetic practice and process. And what I would like to do this morning is invite you onto a journey into the origin of a symptom. In homeopathy, we're looking at the connection between the mental, the physical, the spiritual plane, all of the different ways that your vital force is speaking on those different planes. And what does that, how do those connect together to point to the metaphor and the analogy? What is your narrative that will point to the metaphor and the analogy that will communicate the direction of where your healing is going to come from? So the way we're going to do this is we'll have a few moments, a few minutes to do a little bit of writing that I'll talk about. And then I'm going to open a sacred space for us. We will go on a healing journey to the origin of the symptoms. And then we'll come back, do a little more writing, break out into dyads to share that a little bit, and then come back for a little more sharing and Q&A and closure. How does that sound?
We can give thumbs up, thumbs side, or thumbs down.
Right.
Thumbs
Okay.
down, thumbs up.
Okay, I love it. So if you have something to write with now, take a moment to write about something that arises for you that you would like healed. And it can be a physical symptom. It can be something that feels like it's on the mental or spiritual plane, but it's something that for you, if this were to be healed, would open up a greater level of energetic opportunity for you.
So we have like a minute or so to write.
Sure, yeah. What
Okay.
what works for people? Does a minute feel good?
Yeah, a minute is good, I think.
Okay.
And so should we write one symptom? We could write more than one, and then
I would focus on what is most up right now, because we want to take the journey in a way that gets us some clarity.
Great.
I will start a timer for 1 minute so we respect everyone's time.
So it can be physical or emotional, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you don't have to overthink it. It can be as simple as like, my toe hurts.
Right.
Okay. Beautiful. So now let's take a moment to open ourselves into a sacred space. I bow to Pachamama, sweet mother. Thank you for holding us. Make this sacred space. Make this ceremonial land. Thank you, Mother, for all that you offer us. Thank you for your fruits, your vegetables, your trees, your rivers, and your seas. Thank you for sustaining us in life and providing everything we need. Inti Tai, Father, Son, be here. Give us your fire to burn old contracts and new life to build new destiny lines. Mama Tia, Grandmother Moon, be here. Feminine energy, teach us the sweetness of the girl, the beauty of the woman, and the wisdom of the mother. I bow to the winds of the south, to the great serpent Amaru. be here with us. Wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us how to shed our skin and let go of the past. Teach us to feel Mother Earth like you feel her, belly to belly as a living being. Allow us to feel her nourishment and treat her like a mother. Make this sacred space. To the winds of the west, great Jaguar, Aturango, be here. Pace around our circle. Make this a sacred space. Teach us the way of strength and softness. Teach us how to walk with no fear in this world or the next. And to the winds of the north, sweet hummingbird, Colimbri, dear ancestors, be here. Sweet Colimbri, be here. Flutter your wings around our circle. Teach us the way of nectar, the way of perseverance, and to always remember that nectar awaits at the end of each long journey. Dear ancestors, shamans, and yogis, be here. Whisper to us through the fire, through the wind, that what we need to know to continue on the path of evolution, what we need to teach our children and those who will come after us. To the winds of the east, great eagle, condor, be here. Soar above us. Teach us how to rise above and see the greater picture of our lives, and from there to make better informed decisions. Teach us that we are connected with the divine, like you, always flying wing to wing with the Great Spirit. Teach us the way of liberation. Teach us to open our heart like you open your wings. I invite you in this sacred space, which I trust to be safe, to close your eyes and envision in your mind the symptom that you've written down. Imagine yourself in a space at the top of a stone stairway, a very old stone stair. It has 8 steps. And you approach this stair and you step down the steps. Step 8, cool, mossy and lichen covered. Step 7, step 6, firm underneath your feet. You're supported. You can feel along either side the stone under your hands. 6, 5, 4, 3, going down and down these stone steps. 2, 1, and you step off of them and into an ancient garden, thick with leaves on the ground and the cool light of dusk. And all around you, you see flowers, the shells of flowers and old trees with their branches and limbs intertwined, petals on the ground and seeds flowing through the air. And you feel a breeze. And the leaves on the ground are stirring, and these old petals, brown and gray, are rising from the floor of this ancient garden. And the leaves are turning green and unfurling and floating upwards, back through the time of this garden, back through the senescence, back to seed and flowers, pink and yellow and blue and purple, leaves turgid and green, reattaching to stems, petiole and leaf, and buds that are swollen, fresh and full, and the bark is green and gray and supple, and the branches are untangling from each other. And this ancient garden is getting younger and younger. And you see that in this garden with you, approaching you, is the spirit of this symptom. And the spirit is holding a wooden bowl. And the spirit approaches you and shows you that the bowl contains a cloudy water, cloudy liquid within this wooden bowl, and then turns and invites you to walk on a well-trodden, hard-packed path. You can feel the soil beneath your bare feet on this path as you pass through this garden getting younger, through a forest of leaves getting greener and brighter, and bark going from browns to grays to greens, and birds going from a feather on the ground rising up to rejoin the bird and re-entering the fledgling phase and the shell of the egg and the nest and the building of the nest. And as you walk through this wood, this breeze is following with you, and your feet are soft on this ground, is getting softer and softer. The soil is feeling less packed and more spongy, and you see the moss and you see the grasses growing along the verge of this path, and you get to a clearing where there's a stream and a bridge, and your guide points up the stream, up to the origin of this water, to the mountain or the snowmelt or the spring from which this water flows, getting stronger and stronger from that origin source down under this bridge and away into the left, off to your left, down through the forest. And your guide beckons you to cross the bridge, and you set foot on the solid and firm, warm, sun-warmed stone of this bridge. And you put your hands on the railings, and you can feel where it's worn by your hands and where the stones of this bridge are worn by your feet, and the places where you haven't trodden, the places where the moss is thick and green, the places where the lichen is bright. And you stop in the middle of the bridge, and you look up the stream, and you realize you are looking up into your own origin and the origin of your origin into the past, and down the stream, down the rushing water, what comes from that. And as you continue across the bridge, completely in this moment of the bridge, you step down onto the spongy turf on the other side, the rushing water behind you, and you realize that this guide, the spirit of the symptom, is no longer with you, and you are holding the bowl. And you look in the bowl, and that cloudy liquid is becoming clear and settling into the bottom of this wooden bowl. And you see in this bowl the reflection of your face and the halo of the sky and the crown of the trees around your face. And then you see an image emerge, an image of the origin of this pain, of this suffering, of this dis-ease. And it might be very clear and recent, and it might be beyond your knowing, but you have information that you know has now begun the journey of healing this symptom. And you take the bowl over to the edge of the stream, and you pour the water into the stream, and the silt pours out into the stream, and you watch it mingle with the rolling water and the bubbling of the foam, and flowing into integration with yourself and your life. And you see a boat, and you step into the boat, and you don't even have to paddle. You just push off from the shore, and you're moving down the stream with the current, gently bobbing toward the sea. And the stream becomes very shallow, and you fetch against the bottom. The boat comes to a rest in this soft delta of sand. And you step out onto the shore of the sea, and it is the whole sea of opportunity, your vital force to blossom into its true direction. And when you look to your left, you see a stone arch and a stair just like the stair that you came down when you entered the ancient garden. And you walk towards it to your left and you step up on these supportive stone steps that have been warmed in this westering sun. 1 step, 2, 3 steps, soft on your feet. 4, 5 steps, 6, and a gentle breeze at your back. 7, 8, and you're at the top of the stair and back in the mossy glade. And you return and feel your spirit body returning to your physical body, re-entering your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, you come back and you open your eyes and you're in this space. You take a moment to write what has come to you on this journey. And as soon as Robyn's ready, we'll move on to the share.
Might have one right almost.
No, take your time. We got
30
30 more seconds in this 2 minute.
Oh, great. Take another 30 seconds, and we wanted to have you enjoy sharing in breakout rooms. If you don't want to go, just stay here. We'll be in silence in the big room, in the main room. And if you end up alone, I'll come and rescue you, so don't worry. Do our best. But this is an opportunity to share what you saw, what you learned, any insight you got from the journey, and even if you don't know.
And I would say take about 3 minutes a person. You can keep an eye on your clock if that seems like a good amount of time, Robyn.
Yeah, we'll do 3 minutes each, and I'll keep the time for you, so no worries. But you can also...
whoever's name comes first in the alphabet, you start.
All right, I love that. So we'll see you back here in about 6 minutes. And again, the invitation is to share what you got out of that experience of the journey so far, including your questions. And everybody's making their way back. In a minute or so, or less. Sarah went to the breakout room, so. But we gotta wait for everybody anyway. Okay, I think we're all back, but I don't see Sarah yet.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Oh, you
I'm
know
here.
what? I didn't put you at the top of the screen. That's the thing. There we go. I'm gonna move you to the top. Even now. Okay, top of my screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great. I mean, yeah, we're open to
Yeah.
shares right now, right?
Yeah, I would say, should we do some shares and then open up for some questions? Does that feel good to you?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, let's have some shares first. Let's have Marcy. The way we do the shares here is we put me in the chat like you just saw Marcy do, and then you'll be the next person, you'll unmute yourself. And yeah, so a few shares and then questions. Yeah, that'd be great, Sarah.
And do you manage time for that, Robyn?
Yeah, we'll all manage it together because we all know we have about 10 minutes total.
Okay.
So yeah, and thank you for asking about that, Sarah. That's near and dear to my heart.
I want to respect everybody's space.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcy, let's hear from you first.
So I had a very, very interesting experience. I actually saw myself as an Indian man in a very thickly wooded area. And I obviously was myself a shaman. I had a leather pouch at my waist, and I was collecting all kinds of gifts from the earth. And I had a black bear that traveled with me on my right side. And the sense that I got was, like how far away from that complete connection to Gaia that I have experienced, living in the life that I'm living now, and yet totally in the world of healing, but not with such a strong connection to her. And that realization just brought an incredible vibrancy of the colors and the energy all around me. And it was as if that black bear was looking at me saying, I brought you here, now what? And really waiting for my answer. It was really beautiful. Thank you so, so much. And of course, has me, thinking about all the different ways, that I can get back in real, true connection with her. Even though I speak to her every day, I'm not physically in contact with her. And that's what's missing. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow, thanks. Arlene. Thanks, Marcy. That was beautiful.
Thank you. So this is actually something I realized a long time ago, but wanted to share anyway. For years, I suffered from really horrible migraines to the point I was put on medication for like 6 months at a time. And I realized two things. One is that for me, they were actually like forced meditation because the pain was so all-consuming. Was all I could do was be in the present and be with the pain, because I have a really active monkey mind when I try to meditate. So that was one way the universe got me to meditate. And the other is I realized it was like my overflow when I had too much emotion, fear, anxiety, stress that I couldn't handle it, that the overflow just went into my body. And even though my mind, like I could see it coming, that my mind knew that that overflow was going into my body, but I couldn't stop it.
Nice. Thank you. Wow. So Andrea says, amazing piece and a pull away a wonder off, a pull away a wonder off, then pull back to the voice, to the journey. The pull to wander would come, the pull back to peace was stronger, to be in the present with the universe and myself. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And let's hear from John.
I was surprised how the whole like journey was so valuable so like effective for me. You know, sometimes I think that the visualizations are not, add on to, to some like a really like that kind of attitude. It's not for me, whatever. But that was really the whole thing, from even the setting up the space with the rattles and the calling directions. The whole thing was so valuable to it really worked for me. I don't know the details of the thing, but it was thank you. It was just, and it was kind of also just good reminding me how valuable, because I think in times I thought like that type of journey in the mind has been valuable, and then sometimes I just whatever, it's just stupid. It's like really like whatever it, but so in this case it was extraordinarily valuable, so thank you. And so thank you just for knowing that could be so valuable for me, so thank you.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So Sarah, I have a question, I guess.
Yes.
My journey took me to, my symptom was my left hip, and the journey took me to a cottage, like one of those beautiful, like ivy covered stone, like you'd see in England, or somewhere there. But just to the outside of it, looking at it. And so, I don't know, I wrote it down and I had a feeling like I needed to go there.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw the word patience in the bowl, the wooden bowl. So I don't know, I just wonder like what your thoughts are, like maybe I needed to go in the cottage, but I didn't feel that in the journey to go in the cottage. It was more like the journey took me to see the cottage. Yeah. So now what?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's kind of two ways to think about the now what in terms of tying it back to the homeopathy piece. That narrative aspect of like how is the vital force sending you the message is what I never speak off the cuff about this stuff. I always let it run through my hide to make sure that I'm getting the message correct, which sort of leads me to when I'm prescribing a remedy for someone, what has their vital force really said to me? But the other thing that I hear coming through is that you weren't sure whether or not to go into the cottage, and it's clear that to me that if your vital energy took you just to the outside, then that's okay right now, and that aligned with the patients would point towards that you'll know when it's time to go in.
Go in. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let me just speak really for just a few seconds here on kind of the connection with homeopathy and the shamanism. And because I don't, always start a session of homeopathy with a shamanic journey. It really depends on what the client needs. But the relationship between the narrative, the metaphor, and the analogy, that I've come to see that healing is in that place. We have a narrative, that's how the vital force is communicating. And then we find in the metaphor and the analogy, wherever that is, the healing. And so in homeopathy, that comes in the form of an actual remedy that is a potentized energy image of a substance. And so there's actually a prescription in homeopathy along with these other components of the space of the energetic healing. And that origin of the symptom is so important, because I think that there's always, that's where we're going to find the connection. And we don't even have to be able to name it, because the body will tell us what we need to know in order to heal it. But finding a translator for me was so important that I always want to share with people, it's okay to need a translator. And that to me is the shaman's work in healing, is to kind of provide that guidance and that support and that midwifery of the healing process.
So beautiful, Sarah.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, yeah, go for it, Robyn. Any questions or anything we should talk about?
Just wow, I agree. I found that process really powerful and deeply peaceful. I mean, like what Andrea said, I just feel so much peace and connection and curiosity. Very curious about the cottage myself.
Yeah.
But I love the language of it. Like that's the life force expressing itself and what it needs, and the way that you reframed your experience of cancer. Just I actually have never heard that before, and I'm going to go back and listen to it again. I just think that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm almost 7 years out of bone marrow transplant.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. And healthier than I've ever been. And I really mean that. It's amazing. Taking up new sports. I'm serious. Like I was not an athlete. Learned to downhill ski this year. It was amazing.
Wow. Wow. So that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. So inspiring. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for having
everybody
me.
for being here. I'd love to send us a group. Let's send some love to Sarah. You can
Thank you.
do your hands or just send it. Take it in, take it in, take it in, take it in. Beautiful. Next week, we have a local community member, Maria Merloni, coming back. She's been doing some really grounded, powerful work, and she's going to share it with us. So please join us. I know many of you know her. Yeah, so there's some beautiful thank yous in the chat. So please take a look, Sarah. And also, I'll be sending Sarah's contact information out with the recording later today. And if you're signed up for the Daily Intimacy group, which I think most of you are, or all of you are, you will receive that recording. Yeah. And Sarah, if you just want to pop your email into the chat, you know, that's
sure.
cool too. Somebody might want to just blast off an email to you. And yeah, that would be great. And that was the request from John. So thanks for asking.
Yes. And so my email, because that's a funny word to spell if you don't know how to spell homeopathy, is Inner C Homeopathy. And it's spelled
Did you
just
put it
like
in the chat?
I did put it in the chat. Yeah, I just put it in there. Oh, I put it in a direct message. Whoops. Let me go to everyone. info@innerchomeopathy.com.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can copy that. And you're welcome, everybody. Thanks for all your gratitude. It feels good. Have a great week.
Thank you, Robyn.
You're welcome. And I'll see everybody next week. Mwah!
Yeah.
Blessings on your day.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Say goodbye. Yeah, feel free. Bye, John. Hi, John.
Bye. Hi, Robyn. Bye, John.